Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. In the living room, bathed in the light of a quiet afternoon, a small, frail, trembling brown dog trudged across the parquet floor. Its paws seemed to give way beneath it, and a faint whimper betrayed its distress. The minutes dragged on unbearably slowly, each movement of the dog seeming to weigh a ton. The baby, sitting on the rug, watched the scene with intense attention. His large, curious eyes reflected pure innocence but also a surprising empathy for his age. He reached out his little hand toward the dog, hesitantly at first, then with gentle determination. As the dog collapsed completely, unable to get up, the baby scooped the little animal into its arms. The gesture, simple yet full of purity, brought the mother, the neighbor, and even the mail carrier passing by the open window to their feet. All were deeply moved by this display of instinctive love and disarming empathy. No one had ever seen such a sincere, selfless act, capable of touching so many hearts at once. In that suspended moment, the world seemed to slow down, the fragility of life and the strength of innocence met in a gesture that no one would ever forget. The sun was setting gently behind the curtains, casting a golden light on Lily's small apartment. The dog, a puppy named Toby, was still lying on the rug, shivering slightly. His brown eyes, once bright and mischievous, now seemed to be pleading for help. The baby, Noah, only 10 months old, never took his eyes off the little animal. Despite his young age, he seemed to understand that Toby needed him. With unexpected courage, he crawled over to the puppy, his little hands trembling but determined. His fingers gently grasped Toby's soft fur, and he murmured strange sounds, a mixture of babbling and instinctive comfort. Lily, Noah's mother, watched the scene with a mixture of concern and wonder. She had always known her son was special, but she had never seen such a compassionate gesture. "Oh, my little one," she murmured, her throat tight. Suddenly, Toby moved his head slightly and rested his muzzle on the baby's chest. It was the tiniest touch, but to all who were watching, it was as if a spark had ignited the room. The quiet strength of the baby's innocence seemed to breathe a little life into the dog's tired little body. At that moment, the neighbor, Mrs. Carter, entered the apartment, drawn by Toby's whimpers. She stopped, her eyes wide. "Oh my God!" she breathed, unable to tear her gaze away from the scene. "That baby, he's incredible." Noah held Toby close, oblivious to his own fatigue, oblivious to everything except the little being in his arms. In that simple gesture, a bond was forged, stronger than anything Lily had imagined, a bond of pure love, trust, and unspoken promises. This gesture would change their lives, and Toby's, forever. But no one yet knew that this moment was only the beginning of a series of events that would turn their world upside down, mixing unexpected dangers, surprising encounters, and revelations that would test the strength of their love. In the following days, Toby seemed to regain some strength, but he remained fragile. Noah, still fascinated by the puppy, followed him everywhere in the apartment, babbling and laughing every time Toby wagged his tail. Lily, although worried, was happy to see this bond growing. One afternoon, while they were walking in the small park nearby, the situation took a worrying turn. Toby, carried away by his curiosity, ventured too close to the road. Before Noah or Lily could react, a bicycle suddenly appeared, and Toby hit the edge of the sidewalk. Noah let out a piercing cry, his small face contorting with fear. Instinctively, he scooped Toby into his arms, clutching the puppy as if he could absorb the pain for him. Passers-by stopped, struck by the baby's determination. An elderly woman approached, her hands trembling. "We need to call a vet, quick." Lily, her heart pounding, wrapped Toby in her coat and ran to the nearest clinic, Noah in her arms. All the way there, the baby murmured soft, reassuring sounds, as if he knew exactly what to say to soothe Toby. At the clinic, the vet quickly took charge of Toby. The minutes seemed to drag on forever, and Lily felt her anxiety grow with each tick of the clock. But to her great surprise, the vet came out with a smile. He was scared and a little shaken, but nothing serious. With a little rest and lots of love, he'll be fine." Noah burst with joy and hugged Toby even tighter. In that moment of intense relief, Lily understood something fundamental: the pure and instinctive love of a child can be a force more powerful than any fear or danger. But fate, as always, had more trials in store. The park that day had been the scene of an encounter that would change their lives forever, an encounter that would introduce a mysterious character, linked to Toby's past, and that would transform this simple story of compassion into an adventure full of unexpected revelations. A few days after the incident in the park, Lily decided to take Toby and Noah for a walk a little further, in a quiet alley lined with small shops and cafes. Toby, now more alert but still fragile, walked gently beside Noah, who babbled happily. Suddenly, a man appeared around the corner of the alley. He was tall, wearing a long dark coat and sunglasses, despite the late afternoon. His eyes were scrutinizing Toby with unusual intensity. Lily immediately felt a shiver run down her spine. "Hello," the man said in a calm but strangely authoritative voice. "This dog. I know him." Lily frowned. "Do you know Toby?" she asked suspiciously. The man nodded, and for the first time, Toby seemed to react strangely. He began to growl softly, his ears pricked. Noah, despite his young age, sensed the commotion and hugged the puppy even tighter. "Toby," the man murmured, his voice trembling with emotion. "He was separated from me months ago. I thought I'd never see him again." Lily felt her heart sink. How could this dog, found just a few weeks earlier and whom she had thought abandoned, have such a mysterious past? The man explained that he had been Toby's original owner and had been forced to give him up to a shelter after a tragic accident in his family. Since that day, he had searched tirelessly for Toby. Noah, unaware of the gravity of the situation, reached out to the man, as if to tell him that everything was all right. Toby, however, squirmed in his arms, torn between curiosity and fear. Lily then understood that this encounter was no mere coincidence. Toby's past would turn their lives upside down, and this family would have to navigate secrets, revelations, and difficult decisions. And Noah, with his innocence and courage, would play a pivotal role in ensuring everything turned out for the best. As the sun dipped behind the buildings, one thing was clear: their lives had just changed forever. Toby was no longer simply a puppy they'd found by chance. He was the link between two stories, two families, and an adventure far greater than they could have imagined. In the days that followed, Lily and Noah found themselves in an unexpected situation. The man, whose name was Mr. Harrison, had offered to take Toby back, but he was leaving the decision up to Lily and Noah. The dilemma weighed heavily on their shoulders: return Toby to his former owner, or keep the puppy who had now become an irreplaceable member of their family. Noah, despite being only 10 months old, already showed a deep attachment to Toby. Every morning, he would wake up looking for the puppy, and every evening, he would lull him to sleep in his arms, murmuring affectionate babble. Toby, for his part, seemed to recognize Noah as his primary source of security and comfort. Lily watched the scene, her heart heavy. She knew Toby had a past and that Mr. Harrison had suffered from his loss. But she also knew that the bond between the baby and the puppy was unique, almost magical. She knelt beside Noah and Toby, gently stroking their hair and fur. "Noah, I think it's up to you to decide." The little boy raised his arms, hugging Toby tightly as if refusing to let him leave. His decision, instinctive and full of purity, was clear: he wanted to keep Toby by his side. Lily turned to Mr. Harrison, her eyes filled with tears but her smile genuine. "It seems Toby has found his family here, with Noah." Mr. Harrison lowered his head, moved. After a silence heavy with respect and emotion, he replied, "I understand, and I see that this puppy has found a home of true love. Take care of him." This choice ushered in a new era for everyone. Toby stayed with Noah and Lily, and the mysterious man became a discreet but invaluable friend, sometimes offering advice and toys for the puppy. The bond between the baby and the dog grew even stronger, each bringing the other comfort, protection, and daily joy. In that small apartment, love had triumphed, compassion had guided their choices, and Noah had shown, through his simple and instinctive gesture, that even the smallest of beings could influence destiny. The puppy was no longer simply an animal, he had become the symbol of a pure and unbreakable bond, a bridge between innocence and resilience, capable of touching the hearts of all who crossed their path. And as evening fell, with Noah asleep in his crib with Toby snuggled beside him, Lily knew that this family, so fragile and perfect at the same time, had just experienced an adventure that would remain forever etched in their memory. A few weeks later, summer was in full swing, and Noah and Toby were inseparable. They played in the garden, laughed heartily, and each day seemed sweeter than the last. But fate still had one more challenge in store for them. One afternoon, while Noah was playing with Toby near the small pond in the park, the puppy spotted a butterfly and chased after it. In his pursuit, Toby slipped and fell into the water. The panicked puppy tried to grab him, but his arm was too small. Noah's cries alerted passers-by, and Lily ran over, her heart pounding. Without hesitation, she dove into the shallow water to grab Toby. The puppy, trembling and frightened, huddled against her. Noah was crying, clapping his little hands against her cheeks, but as soon as Toby was safe, the baby burst into bursts of relief and joy. This incident strengthened their bond even further. Noah, despite his young age, had shown instinctive compassion and quiet courage, and Toby had learned to trust his little master forever. Lily knew that these trials, frightening as they were, had strengthened the courage and resilience of her little family. Months passed, and the bond between Noah and Toby became legendary in their neighborhood. Neighbors spoke with wonder of how the baby and the puppy seemed to communicate without words, sharing an almost magical connection. One day, Mr. Harrison came back to see them. He had found another puppy at a shelter and wanted to give it to Noah and Toby to expand their little family. Noah burst with joy and took the new puppy in his arms, while hugging Toby tightly. Lily watched this scene with a radiant smile. The family had grown, but the core bond remained the pure, instinctive love between a baby and their first puppy. Toby and the new puppy became inseparable companions, and Noah, despite his young age, continued to demonstrate that tenderness and compassion could transform the lives of everyone around him. As time went on, Lily understood that this adventure, which began with a simple gesture from a baby towards a sick puppy, had created a family united by love, courage, and loyalty. Every laugh, every caress, every moment spent together reminded her that even small souls could accomplish great things. And in the quiet of the evening, when Noah slept soundly with Toby snuggled beside him, Lily knew one thing: their life had just been written around a simple but powerful miracle, a miracle that would remain forever engraved in their hearts.